first episode of the Retroad Show is here thanks to our patrons, a community-funded show where I explore the country's best retro game shops and unique collections. I head to a semi-secret retro shop in Tewksbury that sells all kinds of vintage products, from games to toys to cars? You might be thinking, Brandon, where are you? Well, this is it. This is the secret retro game shop. Let's head inside and let's meet Ben.
I originally wanted to open a retro car showroom. Then some circumstances changed and I started buying more and more stuff kind of to go in the proposed showroom. So I want to have some games consoles for people to play on, or I want to have some things to make it interesting, not just a bunch of cars in a storage unit. And the more stuff that I bought, the more that I realised actually there's an entire shop's worth of stock that I built up. And so I kind of one day just went, right, it's going to be a shop and a showroom. And really was just buying the kind of things that I liked, the kind of things I remembered from my childhood, and so I carried on doing more of that. There's a few things. There's the Rob Robot set's a pretty rare thing. There's a Tiger Electronics Pink Panther game in there, which I didn't even realise how rare it was until it arrived. It would have been sold by Tiger Electronics in the UK. But in Italy, where this one's from, it's Grande Sciammo. That's my best Italian accent, which I hope you appreciate. But to find one in this kind of condition, fully working, it's just really rare. I've never seen one in the flesh. There's a few watches. There's a very cool Sega watch I got in there, which was a watch that, as far as I can tell, was a Sega Master System pre-order bonus. There seems to be very little information about it out there, but from what I've been told, it was like a pre-order bonus. If you pre-ordered the Sega Master System, this would have been one of the things that you could get. And it's just it's like a digital analog watch in its original box with Sega on the front. There's a couple of figures in there that are from the Star Wars Droids comic and cartoon. And they are about the most expensive Star Wars figures that you can buy. C-3PO and R2-D2 are, I think, 600 quid a piece. When I bought most of this stuff off one guy, I was sorting through all of the figures and realising how little I knew about half of the Star Wars stuff, and I had a book and I was checking what weapons should go with stuff. These two I had discarded into the probably fakes pile, because I was like, well, C-3PO doesn't look like that. R2, look at that terrible stuck-on thing, that can't be right. And then I had a gentleman who's a customer who comes in, said, oh, is that Star Wars stuff you're going through? I'm a massive Star Wars nerd, I'll help you. And so I was like, well, I've just started going through all these figures, and he saw these and nearly had a coronary in the middle of the shop. He was like, do you know what you've got? And I said, nope, not a clue. It turns out that they are from the Star Wars Droids comic. So in the early 80s, they did a spin-off that was kind of about C-3PO and R2 as a comic, and then they did a cartoon series. And that is the figures that went with that series. And they are one of the rarest Star Wars figures out there. Well, when I first opened, I was on eBay 20 hours a day and on Facebook Marketplace, trying to look for particular things. Going to people's houses, bit of word of mouth stuff. Now that I've been open, more than 6 months, I'm getting an awful lot of people bringing trade in. And I don't just trade in games. I do anything that I have for sale in the shop. I will consider trade-in of similar items. And I only now go and look for specific things on eBay and Facebook and stuff. I have a few things kind of from my childhood behind the counter, and things that I have rebought since my childhood. And one of the things I never had when I was a kid was one of the Nintendo Mario watches. And I always remember being insanely jealous of a friend who did have one and seeing them out and about. Never had one, So when I opened the shop and I bought some to sell, I then massively overcompensated and bought some of the variety of different ones in the packaging. So the Mario 3 watches, the Mario World, the Watch Boy. There's a few of them over there. They're probably one of my new favourite things. There's a Star Fox one.
Oh, I've never seen that one.
Yeah, that's
they had a Zelda
awesome
one as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I've got a Zelda one behind the counter, and I keep debating whether it's going to go out or whether I'll keep one for myself because I love Zelda. There's a Tetris one, which plays like proper Tetris. Yes, it's a bit smaller and a bit cut down, but it's Tetris. There's a Super Mario World one, which has a headphone sock on it.
Oh, wow.
And came with a set of headphones. And so, I mean, it's still bleepy bloopy music, but in, pretend stereo through headphones. So this is a Super Mario World watch, whereas this is Super Mario Brothers 3. So you can tell the age of them, So that one would be early 90s, this one would be late 80s to coincide with Super Mario 3 on the NES.
Sega Sports.
Yeah, Sega did some kind of weird diversions. I think it's because they were sponsoring a lot of basketball teams and stuff like that.
Didn't they do Formula 1 back in the day?
They did a bit of Formula 1 and stuff. So I think they tried to kind of, expand their brand into other things with the Sega Sports branding. It's a fairly average digital watch. But again, it's got that kind of early 90s, slightly over-the-top design to it.
You just cameoed my video, mate.
Hi!
Do you know that game?
I haven't got a clue.
No, I thought you might not. This is Barbarian on the Amstrad. So it's... When's it from? Like 87. And I opened it up, and it's got a great poster in it.
Oh, dang. Might have to censor this video.
Is this safe for work material? It's just about safe for work. Did you ever watch Gladiators when you were a kid?
Yeah, I've seen some of Gladiators. I don't know if I've watched it recently. But...
Do you know Wolf from Gladiator?
Oh, is that him? Look at that face.
That is Wolf from Gladiator, pre-Gladiator day.
If he took steroids. We should somehow arrange something and have a little gaming session up there with some people,
That sounds good.
For sure. We could do like a meet-up, just get people over.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
VHS still continues to surprise me. When I first planned the shop, I didn't even plan a section for VHS. But once I started looking into it and feeling nostalgic about it myself, I realised that there is a place for it in people's collections, even if it's not something that they necessarily are watching. I find probably at least 50-60% of the VHSs I sell are not for people who even have a VHS player. They just want their favourite childhood film on the shelf at home, or their favourite cult film or something.
Yes. Now I was going to ask you if you've got batteries for that.
It's already got batteries in it, because so many people come in and go, oh, it's one of those. I just leave the batteries in there.
Go on.
Are you ready?
Show me how it's done.
Well, you've got to turn the car on first, and then you've got to decide how fast you want it to go, and you've got the rev counter and the speedo here, which is totally accurate. And there is basically nothing to it other than driving round and round the same bit again. And it's that same car in the lay-by. Yeah. Oh, it's that same car in the lay-by every time.
Don't forget to dodge it.
There is nothing to it really. Again, it's like a bit of film, and then you've got a trip counter that goes up. So it's all mechanical.
That's incredible.
When it came in, it didn't properly turn, I suppose. So I had to take it all apart and figure out how it worked. And it's a bit more like a watch than anything that you'd be used to now as a game console. Or this one here, which is similar kind of idea. Look at the little plane in there. That's definitely realistic plane movement right there. And I don't think I've got batteries in this one to show you. No, it's not. This one, it projects an aircraft carrier. And then you start off on the aircraft carrier and you take off and then targets come along on the screen, and you've got to hit
So
the targets. But it's all just mechanical. There's nothing there's no computing power in it or anything like that.
How much did they retail for back in the day? Do you know?
This new would have, when it was new, would have been about 50 quid. So I suppose 100,
Yeah.
120 or something now. I'm selling that one for 60 because I spent way too much time fixing it.
Yeah. See, the micro machines as well. I love my micro machines. I do collect
Yeah.
those. I haven't seen this one before. That was cool.
Plain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
This
unique.
one, so the gentleman who was in earlier actually brought it in, and it's not in the greatest of conditions, but it's there. But this one, when it came in, the front was broken off. And I don't know if you can see there, I took a tiny little piece of a broken Super Nintendo and welded it to the
Nice.
original front. And it just so happened that because of the shape of it, it fitted into the front bit there.
Nice. Yeah. You're a genius.
Maybe. Well, a lot of people are surprised that I have both all of this stuff, the games and everything else, and the cars. But I as I said, I originally planned on having a car showroom, so it was always going to be there. Cars have been my love for many years. My dad worked for Car Magazine. I worked at another big car dealership, and I always wanted to have all of the things that I liked without restricting what it was. So the cars were never going to play second fiddle in any way. I usually, although it's not there at the moment, I have my own Nissan Skyline that lives in there.
What year?
It's a 1984 Nissan Skyline DR30 RSX Turbo C Iron Mask. Is the full name of it. It's a very cool thing, but it's currently having its engine put back in it and a lot of work done, so it's not there at the moment. I could very easily turn this entire place into a toy shop, but I'm holding off doing that because it could take over very easily. But when I first opened, I didn't even have a cabinet of Star Wars toys or anything, and I actually was offered an entire collection by a guy that I knew from a previous job. And when I started looking through it, I was realising actually how little I knew about Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I've seen all the films, I've played all the games and stuff. Either my memory is too shot, or I just haven't absorbed enough of, to know all the different characters and stuff, that when I was looking through all these figures, I had to do it with a book and go, oh yeah, that's that one. And there is so much to know that it's very difficult to be an expert in everything. The making of Michael Jackson's Thriller on VHS, which I'm sure everyone wants to watch. But it's
So niche.
cool and random enough for me to, as soon as I saw it, when that guy brought it in earlier, I was like, yeah, I need to have that. Some Micro Machine,
Oh, I love
but
Micro Machines.
Star Wars Micro Machine stuff.
Oh.
Hulk Hogan with the smashy fists. And then, well, I haven't even gone through this yet, but
Nice.
it's PS1 and PS2, so it's a nice PS1 arcade stick, slim PS2 and a multi-tap.
So these need fixing, or you don't know?
I've tested the consoles briefly, so I need to properly test them and clean them now. OG PS1.
Nice.
And then some controllers and a load of games. So I've got Soul Blade in there, Tekken 2,
Gran Turismo.
Tobal number 1, which I don't even know what that is, and somebody in the comments is probably going to chastise me for that. And then the stuff on these shelves are things either from my childhood, although actually few of them are actually from my childhood. So that's my original Game Boy, which I got in Christmas 1990, and my copy of Zelda and Tetris. That's my original remote control car, which is awesome for all the 5 minutes on battery. Most of the rest of this stuff are just things that I picked up because they hold nostalgia for me, like the Tommy Dingbot. And some of these PC games, I said I was a big PC gamer, so like Grim Fandango and Full Throttle, I love those kind of early LucasArts Adventures games.
Original Quake.
Original Quake and Quake 2, Sim City, Blade Runner, that's a massively underappreciated game. Dungeon Keeper. And then just some other kind of curiosities that I picked up along the way. I mentioned the watches. Yeah, that's become a thing that I have to be careful of, because I love the packaging as much as I do the watches. But all of these watches are becoming quite expensive now.
Especially sealed, right?
Yes. I mean, most of these are they have been out of the packaging, but they've just been opened really carefully. Like this, actually, I picked this up when I worked in Game Station in like 2003 or something, and it's just a CD of Zelda performances. It's all done by a philharmonic orchestra or something. But it's just it's curious, isn't it? But it has some newer stuff like limited run games.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even know about these until a guy brought them in.
So do you buy that kind of stuff, like the new limited run?
If it's I buy anything that's kind of interesting and goes with, I'm not interested in like limited run Switch games, for example.
Okay, yeah.
But these ones, they did like N64 and NES and Game Boy ones. They're cool things. It's a very varied job, and I think I'm lucky in a way that I have enough of a varied skill set to be able to manage it, because some days I'm in here literally just making the shop look pretty. Other days I'm here fixing Walkmans and game consoles and actually working on things. There is never a day in here where there isn't something that I can be doing, because I've got the online shop as well. There's always orders coming in. So it's very varied. One day I can be replacing the ABS system on a Citroen BX, and the next day I can be cleaning up a game console that's all yellowed and putting it in a retro bright box and doing all that kind of thing as well. So you have to be prepared to do a bit of everything if you're doing something like this yourself. Otherwise you end up having to source so many experts and other people to do things. And there's still plenty of things that I can't do, or I haven't got around to learning how to do yet. I have a box of 12 Game Gears out the back that are all faulty in one way, shape or form, and I still haven't quite learnt enough about fixing Game Gears to actually make them all good. But I'm hoping that I can at least make 3 or 4 good ones out of 12 broken ones. I mean, I have both sold pre-modded consoles. I've modded a few Game Boys, just changed the shells or put IPS screens in them, things like that. But also, I mean, only this Saturday I had a gentleman come in, and he was looking for kind of junk Game Boys, things that I hadn't necessarily put out or were broken, and I sold him a Game Boy Advance SP, a tribal one that just looked like it had been attacked by a cat, so I didn't really want to put it out, but he was going to reshell it, so that's fine. And then I had an original DMG Game Boy that was very, very yellow, but otherwise working absolutely fine. And so again, a great candidate for reshelling modding. So he bought both of those off me, and of course I did them for a cheaper price than the kind of the standard shelf price of the SPs and the Game Boys.
So I'm now back in the office, and I want to share with you a couple of my pickups. Ben has created such an incredible shop for anyone interested in nostalgia or vintage products, from old cars to retro games to comics to toys. It's certainly a place to visit if you're in the Midlands here in the UK, because it is incredible. And that's the series that we want to build here on the Retroad Show. It's kind of giving you an exploration series into unique collections, museums, stores from all around the world. Here's a few of my pickups. The biggest one is the Sonic the Hedgehog Sega Game Gear, boxed in pretty good condition. I spent so many months playing this game as a child, so it was good to see it in such good condition, and it was only £40 as well, so I had to take that off of Ben for my collection. There's also DuckTales as well on the original Game Boy. I do like playing on the Analog Pocket, so I had to pick this up. Such a good game, and it was only a few quid as well. left wing that might not interest any of you, but it's for research purposes for our website cardgamer.com. So I've picked up a Middle-earth card game booster pack here that I want to look into. Over there we create stories about unique card games, and it's also a reason why I bought this one as well, an old school Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles card game from 1990, I think. I've never seen it. I wanted to explore it. It looks pretty simple. The cards are oversized as well, and you've got all of the characters here, which is really, really cool. So that's going to be something we create an article on over there as well. So I didn't go too crazy, but you know, I picked up a few things out of respect for Ben making such an awesome little spot. So there you have it. A big thanks to our Patreons for making this series possible. It wouldn't be possible without you, so all of your pledges are super appreciated. And for those of you that do like this type of content, hit subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode of The Retroad Show. Thanks for watching.